Hello, everyone. My name is John Boggess. I'm a student at Marshall University. Currently am a sophomore. I'm studying sports journalism, and today I have with me Alex Gross, the manager of live production for the Seattle Kraken. Thanks for being here today, Alex. How you doing?
I'm great, John. Thanks for asking me to do this. Super excited to be a part of this in any way. Marshall holds a special place in my heart because I was there for 2 years. So yeah, happy to answer any questions on your mind.
To get started, we're going to talk a lot about hockey and sports and stuff like that. But first of all, I want to know a little bit about yourself. What's your life like outside of work?
Yeah, I'm a huge music guy. I love like alternative rock music. Blink 182 is actually my favorite band. A little bit of an oldie, but love going to concerts. Seattle is great, has a great music scene. So it's really cool to be close to the city, be able to go to a bunch of concerts, and even at Climate Pledge Arena where the Kraken play. I enjoy sports. Obviously, I work in sports. For as much as I work in sports, I don't come home and watch a ton of sports, but always down to go toss a frisbee or kick around a soccer ball or anything like that.
Could you give me a little background on your educational and work experience that got to you to your job today?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Ohio, small town called St. Clairsville. It's about as far east as you can get in the state. I'm 10 minutes from Wheeling, West Virginia. That's where I grew up. I have five brothers, and I knew I wanted to go to Ohio State just because I visited a couple of times. We were all Buckeye fans growing up. And so from the start, I knew that's where I wanted to go, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so when I went to Ohio State, my older brother had been working in the athletic department in their video services department, running camera for football games, basketball games, basically any sporting event they had, and was able to put in a good word for me when I made the jump to Ohio State. And so right as a freshman, I think the first week I was there, I jumped in, started working some soccer games, and just kind of immediately fell in love with the live aspect of sporting events. And Ohio State didn't have a great broadcast or like production major. So I just kind of fell into communication. They had three different subsets. Mine was new media and communication technology. That's what I majored in. And then I had a minor in media production and analysis. But the bulk of my experience and my skill set came from working in the video services department. While I was a senior, I started working for a production company in Columbus called Live Technologies. They do corporate shows. They actually tour with Jeff Dunham, the comedy stand-up who does ventriloquism. So that's their biggest client. And I got involved with them working in the warehouse, like packing up boxes with all the equipment, and then finally getting to go on the road to some of these shows, traveling around the country. I knew I wanted to get back into sports. And so I kept applying, and then stumbled across a job posting for Marshall University. And they were starting up their broadcast program. They wanted to really put in an effort to get their sporting events out to a larger crowd, and not just with a single camera stream, but with a full-on productions that had announcers, like 4 cameras, graphics, replay, all the works. I was there for about 2 years and grew up a student staff base and put my best foot forward to really put them on the map and set them up for success in the future. But felt I had done everything I could do at Marshall, and so I was looking for other opportunities and was fortunate enough to get an offer from the University of Maryland to kind of run their BTN Student U program. So very similar to what Marshall was doing, but just on a bigger scale. It's a bigger conference with the Big Ten. And then I oversaw all their streaming for the Big Ten Network, and then also assisted on the video board side of things. And then out of Maryland, after I was there for about 2 years, I got the offer from the Seattle Kraken. And so, just kind of worked my way up slowly but surely through the ranks. But yeah, definitely my experience at Ohio State and then my time at Marshall and Maryland has kind of set me up for what I'm doing now.
What kind of led you to the Kraken?
Yep. So at Maryland, again, kind of the same thing at Marshall. I'd felt I had done all that I could do at Maryland, and there wasn't a clear path forward for me to kind of get promoted or anything like that. And so I started to look elsewhere. And one day, and while I was browsing around, I came across a Slack post from the senior vice president of entertainment experience and production at the Kraken. His name's Johnny Greco. He posted a message that just kind of said, "Hey, we're looking for somebody to lead our control room at the Seattle Kraken. If you're interested, please send your resumes to my email." And so I sent my resume over to him. He hit me back almost within an hour, I think, and immediately was like, "Hey, like, do you know Dave Bacalic at Ohio State?" And Dave was my boss at Ohio State. And I knew that Dave and Johnny were connected somehow, but I didn't know that they were quite as close as they were. And he told me, Dave was at my wedding, and we text almost daily. And he's like, "You're in good company." And I just said, Dave was really, for me, my driving force in getting into this industry. He helped me out in so many different ways while I was at Ohio State. And it's kind of been, a career mentor for me. I didn't think I was going to get the role, to be honest with you. And what I wanted to do was, interview, make connections. And if they had told me, "Hey, we're going another direction," that was fine with me. And so I interviewed, and about a week later, they did in fact come back and tell me, like, "Hey, we're going to go in another direction." And that was fine. And like I said, I had kind of accomplished what I wanted to do, but that was in April of last year. And then in June, I got a text on like a random Wednesday night from Johnny, who said, "Hey, like, are you still interested in the position? Things haven't worked out the way we had hoped, and the position still hasn't been filled." And so I, immediately had said yes. And we hopped on the phone 2 days later, and he just kind of laid it out on the table of, what the job was, and, what the benefits were, and kind of what they needed. And then he said, "Hey, can you be here by August 1st? So that was June 28th, I believe. I'm at Maryland, which is right outside of DC. And it was just, it was a conversation that I had with my girlfriend, Bailey. Is this something that we'd be interested in? And she said yes after some convincing. And I went through a series of interviews and was fortunate enough to get the job here at the Kraken. And I started on August 2nd here in Seattle, and kind of have never looked back.
What is it like on a normal day at work? What is it like?
Yeah.
What exactly do you do?
So game days are about 12-hour days for me. So I typically start my day around, and this is with generally a 7 p.m. start, I would say. I typically start my day between 10 and 11. I get to the arena, come into the control room, and just kind of fire everything up, turn on the screens, the multi-viewers, make sure our equipment's fired up. We get on there, we start downloading content, and sending it to the appropriate machine. So any, crowd pumps or any player interviews or highlight pieces or just fun fan activities, like, runs through us. And then, that normally takes, up to 2-3 hours. We typically have a load day beforehand where we knock off a lot of the stuff, but there's always last minute changes and revisions that need to happen. And then our control room crew starts showing up at 1 p.m. So we have a 6-hour call. I go into script review at 1:30 with our internal team and some of our EAs. That's our part-time staff, entertainment assistants, we call them, or also you can think of them as stage managers as well. That takes about 30 minutes. We run through the script, what to expect. And then any changes that happen in that script review, I bring back to our control room crew from 2 to 2:30, so that we can be ready for tech rehearsal at 2:30. During that tech rehearsal, you just want to step through everything, make sure it's firing the way you think it should, and everything's working properly. And that's an hour and a half. That takes us to 4 p.m. At 4 p.m., I run through our script with our control room crew. At 5:30, doors are typically opening for fans, and so that's when our show starts. And we have a bunch of videos and advertisements we got to get through, but we also have a fair amount of time to have some fun with fans, get fans up on the video board. And typical puck drop is about 7:08, and then the game takes off and we're off and running. And then after the game, everybody is responsible for their equipment, packing it up, making sure everything's in a safe place and stored properly. And that typically takes about 30 minutes to an hour after a game. And, we all kind of talk about, what happened and what went well, what didn't go well.
My last question for you here is, I'm just curious, what do you recommend the students who have the same aspirations as you want to work a job like you have?
Yeah, I would just say network. If you put your best foot forward and you have a good attitude, and even though they had told me no, I said, hey, thank you so much for the opportunity to interview. I really appreciate it. Would love to stay connected. And so I became connected with everybody I had interviewed with on LinkedIn, and I must have left a good taste in their mouth because they reached back out to me when they hadn't filled the position, and that time around I was lucky enough to get it. But it's super important to present yourself in a professional way. Be somebody that people remember, be somebody that people want to be around. But yeah, just connect with anybody and everybody. It's a small world, and the more people that and that you can even just send a message to, or have an interview with, or whatever else, it makes a difference, because you never know when that person is going to be in a spot to help you out. And then just also broaden your experience. Do as much as you can. Don't just run camera for Herd Vision. Run graphics and run replay, and try to direct if you can, and just do as much as you can. If you're able to do more than just one skill, that's what kind of people are looking for nowadays. You have to be able to do multiple different things, and so yeah, just take advantage of different opportunities that are presented in front of you. That's kind of the best advice I can give. That's kind of what's worked for me. I put myself out there, and I've tried to, move to different places with different experiences, and meet new people. And now I'm in Seattle, a place I never thought I'd be. Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me, kind of let me know how you got where you're at and everything. It's all very interesting, and it's definitely something that I hope I could say I do one day. And I'm John Boggess, and this was Alex Gross, manager of live production for the Seattle Kraken. Alex, thanks again for being here. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks, John.